Hello, yogis. Welcome back to your practice. For this practice, I have a pillow. You can use a block if you'd like, if you have one. And I also have a belt, just my normal standard belt to keep my pants up. And before we go onto our backs, if you can put just a small loop in the belt, so it's almost about the width of your hip bones, maybe even a little bit smaller, but somewhere around there. We don't want the loop to be too big, so better to err on a little bit more narrow for your belt. And then when you have that, go ahead and set it off to one side. So you have it handy when we come onto our backs, and then let's come onto our backs. So finding our opening pose of our Shavasana, slowly releasing down. If you'd like, you can put a pillow underneath your head, and then find your legs in whatever way is most comfortable. My back has been a little bit tight, so I'm just going to bend my knees and rest them against each other. It's just a nice way to release the lower back so you don't feel any undue pressure in the lower back. Let's turn the palms to face up and then take a few breaths out the mouth. Just kind of sighing it out. Feeling the body relax a little bit more. Nice slow exhale out the mouth. And then let's start to find our Ujjayi breath, that deep belly way of breathing. In and out through the nose, if that's open and comfortable. Feeling the breath in and out of the lower belly region. If you'd like, you can even place your hands right underneath the navel just to experience the slow rising and falling of your hands as you breathe in and out. And then let's add that soothing sound to our breath. Almost like a gentle snore. Some call it the sound of the ocean. Whatever you'd like to call it, just almost like a slight whisper of your breath, both on the inhales and the exhales. You might feel the little constriction or a vibration along the back of the throat. And making that breath loud enough so that you can hear it. And then let's turn our attention back to our body. Notice any areas of your body that might feel different today, whether that's because of any tightness or maybe any kind of relaxed areas. And then making mental note of those areas that might require some modification or skipping of movements or of poses. So always feel free to modify or skip anything that doesn't feel good. Go at your own pace, take as many breaks as you like, just feel and do what is good for your body. And then let's slowly draw the arms up to the ceiling, turn the palms to face each other, drag the backs of the shoulders into the mat, keep them pinned there. Maybe you're staying there. If the shoulders feel good, you can draw the arms up any amount over your head, energize through the arms. So we're reaching the fingertips away from the body, but drawing the shoulders towards those hips. So start to feel the work of the upper back. And we're just hovering the arms. We're not resting the arms. Just find some energy in the upper half of the body. Neutral position in the spine. Take another inhale. And then exhale, let's slowly draw those arms back up to the ceiling and then down by the side. Bend those knees if you haven't already, and then let's hug those knees into the chest. And whatever movement feels good, whether you pick the hips off of the mat or sway side to side, left and right, kind of just seeing how the lower back is doing for today. And then let's start to extend those legs up to the ceiling, separate those feet so you can point and flex the feet a few times, wiggle those toes, crack the toes toe knuckles if that feels good, and then start to circle those feet. So these warm-up movements are just as much of an exploration to see how the different parts of our body are doing, and then let's change the direction of those foot circles and just noticing. Ooh. And then inhale, let's press those heels up, take an inhale, and then exhale, hug it in. And then just a few more times on the rhythm of the breath. Lengthen, and you can lengthen the arms when you lengthen the legs if that feels good. And then one more time. And then draw those knees in, one hand lightly on each knee. Let's slowly start to circle those knees in opposite direction, opening up through those hips, and then change the direction of your knee circles. And then let's place the left foot down and gently cross the right thigh over the left. And let's come into just a baby twist. So we're drawing the lower half of the body to the left, only to about 45 degrees with that top leg. So we don't want to go too deep into a twist, just holding here, both shoulders planted firmly onto the mat. Just kind of a baby twist to start. And then let's come back to center and then switch over to the other side. So opposite thigh crosses, and then gently draw the lower half of the body to the right, up to or less than 45 degrees with that top leg. And then let's slowly draw the legs back to center. Let's come into bridge pose to kind of get an easy stretch for the front of the body. Feel the work of the back of the body. So feet and knees hip bone distance apart, all 10 toes pointing forward, and feet are about one hand length away from your bottom. And when you're ready, let's press into those heels to lift the hips. Kind of thinking of the tailbone is leading the way up towards the ceiling. Just finding a nice height for the bridge. Breathing here. You might feel an easy stretch along the back of the neck. Keep the head still and pointing up towards the ceiling. And slowly, let's roll it down the spine. Tailbone last to reach the mat. And then let's start to hug those knees back into the chest. Now let's grab our belt with the loop in it. So you want to make sure that the loop is hip bone distance apart or even a tiny bit narrower. And then let's start to place the belt around our ankles. And we'll first start with a bend in the knee. So you can bend those knees as much as feels comfortable. Maybe start at about a 90-degree angle and then you can adjust from there. And we're flexing through the feet and we're separating the feet so you feel some tension in the belt. So that way we can keep the belt right at the ankles. And then let's draw those arms down by the sides, palms facing down. If you need a little bit more support for the lower back, slide your thumbs or even your hands underneath your bottom. So we want to keep our spine in neutral position. Start to feel the core work and breathing here. So we're going to hold here for about 5 rounds of breath. So you're welcome to have the legs as close or a little bit further away from you, just until you feel some work happening in the core. And breathing here. And after a few rounds of breath, you're able to lower the legs a little bit further away from you, as long as you keep drawing your navel in neutral position in the spine. Feel the squeeze. Really feel squeezing of those core muscles. Breathing here. Let's do 2 more full rounds of our Ujjayi breath. And if you need to back off or even hug the knees into the chest, that's fine too. Just try to keep the feet the same distance apart as the knees and the knees the same distance apart as the feet, so we don't want the knees coming in. Last round of breath. And then go ahead and hug those knees into the chest. We're keeping the belt right on the ankles as we start to straighten the legs up to the ceiling. Any amount until you get just that mild sensation of a stretch on the back of the legs. Breathing here. And then while we're here, you can maintain a soft bend in the knees. Let's start to draw one foot forward of the other. So almost like you're in a tightrope stance. If it feels good or if it feels okay to draw that front foot, crossing it a little bit further, so maybe the knees are starting to cross, go ahead and do so, but make sure that the joints are always happy. And you might start to feel some work of the inner legs, a little stretch of those outer hips. And then let's draw those legs back to neutral and over to the other side. Opposite leg crosses as far as is comfortable. And remember, you can bend those knees as much as you need to. And then let's draw those legs back. And then from here, start to bend those knees once again. And let's go through some pulses. So arms down by the sides, palms down, maybe hands underneath your bottom if you need. Inhale, we'll slowly lower those legs. Any amount, could be an inch, it could be a foot. Find what works best for your body. Maintain neutral position of the spine. Exhale, draw those knees either so they or the legs back to neutral, or you can draw them a little bit closer towards you as long as you're squeezing through the core, especially the lower core. So inhale, let's lower the legs any amount, make sure the belly doesn't pop up, and then exhale, squeeze the core to draw the legs closer towards you to that comfortable point. So moving on the rhythm of the breath. Just a couple more times. And then last time, finding that ujjayi breath. And then let's release, hug those knees in. You can point out through the toes, even circle the feet a little bit to get some movement into the ankles. And then we'll extend those legs back up. And then we'll draw the right leg, cross it in front of the left to a comfortable point. Really make sure the joints are happy. And then over to the other side. So you have to keep tension in the belt so the belt doesn't slide. So keep trying to pull the belt apart. And if you do have a buckle, make sure it's not digging into your legs. So make any adjustments as you see fit. And then just one more time on each side. My belt is slowly crawling towards me. And then let's bend those knees, hug them in. Keep the belt on the ankles, and let's set those feet back down onto the mat for bridge pose. So your feet will just be as wide as the belt. Make sure it's comfortable, not on the ankle bone. Have a little tension there. And then we'll just make the knees the same distance apart as the feet. And then when you're ready, when you have your feet about one hand length away from your bottom, let's slowly come into bridge. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, slowly roll it on down. So pulsing through a few more times, finding the rhythm of your breath, finding the height that works best for you. So it's a little bit different to have kind of the ankles bound a little bit. You might feel some extra shakiness in the knees. So even if you have to go a little bit slower to make sure those knees stay that same distance apart as the feet, go ahead and do so. If it takes 2 rounds of breath for you to come up, then that's fine too. Just really focusing on that really good alignment and moving to our breath, never holding our breath. And then next time your bottom reaches down onto the mat, let's just rest it there for a moment and then hug those knees in. Give it a squeeze. And then one more core movement. Let's draw those legs up to the ceiling. So we'll straighten the legs, but if you'd prefer to have bent knees, feel free to do so. Straightened legs will be a little bit more challenging, so just determine what type of practice you'd like. Arms down by the sides, maybe snuggle the hands underneath your bottom. And so we're gently drawing the legs away from each other so you feel tension in the strap. Make sure it's comfortable on the ankles. Inhale, lower the legs any amount. Maybe it's just a few inches like me. And then exhale, use the strength of the core to draw the legs up to the ceiling or even a little bit closer towards you if that feels good. Keep that tension in the strap or in the belt so the belt doesn't fall. Inhale, lower any amount. And then exhale, draw it up. So move on the rhythm of the breath. You don't have to get the legs all the way down to the floor, just to the point where you feel that there is work happening in your core and you're able to maintain that neutral position of the spine. So it's better to keep the legs up a little bit higher to make sure that the alignment of the spine is good and safe than it is to draw the legs all the way down to a point where you might start to feel your lower back arch. And if you feel a little bit of shakiness, that's fine. Last time. And then go ahead and hug those knees in. Little circle of the feet. And then extend those legs up. One more time of this crisscross. Right leg crosses in front of the left, left behind the right, and then over to the other side. If you want even more of a challenge, you can start to lower the legs a little bit closer down towards the floor. It's more of a challenge, more strength building for the core, but if you do start to feel this in the lower back, you can draw those legs a little bit closer up towards the ceiling. And then when you're even on both sides, let's draw those knees in. Let's remove the strap from the legs. Just place it off to one side. Hug those knees in. Let's come into one more bridge pose. Have the feet and knees hip bone distance apart. And then when you're ready, let's lift. And if you can easily straighten your arms underneath you and you'd like, you can interlace the fingers. You can roll to the outer shoulders, only doing this if it's comfortable. And breathing here. Make sure the weight is in, like pressing into your heels. Last round of breath at whatever height of your bridge feels good. And then let's slowly, if you have your fingers interlaced, release, come back onto your shoulder blades. You can lift the heels. Ooh, that was my ankle. You can lift the heels nice and high as you slowly roll it down the spine. Take a moment, maybe a breath out the mouth. And then as you're ready, your choice of how you'd like to come up to a seated position, you can roll onto one side and gently press your way up. If you want a little bit more, you can slowly rock forward using the core to gently arrive into that comfortable seated position. And when you get there, remember, comfortable seated position means whatever is comfortable for your body, whether that's cross-legged or legs extended straight or bent or sitting up on a pillow to give a little bit more openness for your body. So whatever that means to you, go ahead and find that place. Let's draw the palms of the hands together and take a moment here. And if you'd like to set an intention or dedication for your practice, go ahead and do so at this time. And then if your eyes are closed, let's open the eyes. Namaste. Great to practice with you again. Let's inhale, circle those arms out and up, and then exhale, hands to the heart. A couple more times. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then one last time. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's place the hands onto the thighs. Let's come into some spinal circles. I like to do this one kind of in the morning to open up, get a little stretch in the back of the body, at the side, waist, change the direction of your circles. And then let's return to that tall way of sitting. Let's change the crossing of the legs if they're crossed, and just come in some nice, easy flowing side bends. Arms out and up as you inhale. Remember to modify or even skip, especially if you have any shoulder concerns, and then just gentle side bend to one direction. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale over to the other side. And so going at a depth that works best for your body. Inhale, exhale, side bend. Finding that Ujjayi breath. And let's just do one more time on each side. Feeling how the side waists are doing. And then let's come back to center. Draw the hands to the heart. Take a moment here. And then let's slowly place the hands onto the thighs. Take an inhale. Exhale, easy twist. And I'll mirror you, so you can keep your left hand gently onto the leg as you twist, because we're coming into dynamic twist. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, over to the other side. So as we move a couple more rounds on the rhythm of the breath, since these are dynamic twists, if you do find that you're getting a little lightheaded or a little dizzy by turning the head so quickly, you can just keep the head pointing forward if that feels comfortable. So find what works best for you for just a nice easy twist. And then let's come back to center. Circle those arms out and up. Circle those arms out and then down. And maybe hands are onto the hips with the thumbs towards each other. Maybe you're interlacing the fingers back behind you if that feels comfortable in the shoulders. And let's open up through the chest. But we are trying to keep the spine in neutral position. We're not leaning too far forward or leaning back. So really engage through the core. You need those core muscles to open up or to maintain that spine as we open up through the chest. And then notice kind of what happens to the head if you start to look up or jet the head forward, pull it back. So opening up through the chest, little stretch for those wrists if your fingers are interlaced, and lots of work for the core. And then notice if the legs are starting to float up. See if you can relax them down. And then let's go ahead and release. Circle those arms out and up. Circle those arms out and down. Interlace opposite pinky on top or hands onto the hips with the elbows towards each other, thumbs towards each other. And then same thing. So really tighten up through the belly. A lot of core work here to make sure that we don't pop the belly forward or the lower rib cage forward or even the chest forward. And breathing kind of takes a little bit of concentration as well. And then let's slowly release, shake out or circle those hands a few times. And then let's come on to our hands and knees tabletop pose. When you come into your tabletop pose, let's move through a few rounds of our balancing cat. So shoulders draw back, belly pulled in, neutral position in the spine. Make sure you're not overarching through the spine. So feel that belly come in. And then let's start with the right leg straight back. You can keep the right toes down onto the mat, or if you'd like, you can float the right leg up, turn the right toes to point down. Shoulders draw back, maybe staying here, or maybe you're adding the left arm. Let's take an inhale and then exhale, gently release down onto the mat, tabletop pose. Let's move over to the other side. So left leg straight back. Maybe the toes stay down or maybe the left leg lifts, pressing out through the heel, left toes down. Maybe stay here or maybe the right arm extends forward and then slowly release down. So we'll move side to side on the rhythm of the breath. Inhale, right leg, left arm reach. Get length. Exhale, softly release down with control. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale, release down. Let's do one more time on each side. So it takes a lot of control to slowly and softly release the knee and the hand down. Actually, let's do one more time on each side so you can really experience that. There is lots of core work and leg work, especially on the descent of those limbs. It's not just on the lifting. So have to make sure we pay attention to that as well. And then when you get back to neutral, let's sit it back into child's pose, our pose of rest. Anytime, feel free to take it. Might be even a pose of stretch if you need a little bit more stretching for those hands, or you can just relax, come into stillness. Head can be onto your mat or onto a blocker pillow. And then let's rise on back up. Let's set the knees maybe a little bit closer towards each other. Let's come into our side plank. So make sure that the shoulders are over the wrists. We'll swing our right lower leg a little bit out to the side, maybe even off your mat for balance. Start to stretch your left leg back and then turn the left toes to point to the long edge of the mat. Start to feel the hips draw underneath you. Adjust the hand, that right hand if you need to. Make sure it's right under the shoulder and then draw the shoulder towards the hip. So maybe you're staying here, just coming onto your left fingertips, or maybe you're coming into side plank. And we'll just keep the top arm right alongside our body and breathe here. Maybe you're staying here, maybe you're starting to float this back leg up. And breathing, so just until it's up to parallel to the floor. And then think of lightness, so we're not putting so much weight down into the right hand. Think of lifting out of the right hand. Feel some work on this top outer leg as well. And then slowly release it on down. Sit it back into child's pose. Maybe a stretch for the wrists if that feels good. And if child's pose isn't a pose, doesn't feel like a really restful pose, feel free to just come into any other position that feels good. Let's go over to the other side. I'll give you the back view. So let's walk the knees a little bit closer together. Swing the left lower leg maybe off of the mat. Draw the shoulders back, belly pulled in. Right leg straight back, and then turn the right toes to point towards the right edge of your mat, the long edge. Adjust that left hand if you need to, so it falls right underneath the left shoulder. And then maybe the right fingertips stay on the mat if you'd like, or maybe we'll draw the right arm just alongside the body. Right arm is about parallel to the floor. Maybe you're staying here, or maybe you're floating the right leg up to meet that right arm. Right toes point out and not up, pressing out through the heel. Think of being long in the neck, so we're not shrugging the shoulders up, but we're extending the head away from the body. I like the analogy of a turtle coming out of its shell, breathing, and then let's slowly release it down. Let's come into child's pose for a moment. Take a moment here, and then let's come into a little twisted child. So we'll lift the chest enough so we can thread one arm underneath. I'm threading my right arm underneath the left, right palm facing up. And I'm slowly just reaching as far as is comfortable to get a little upper spinal twist and then relaxing onto my right shoulder. You can use a pillow or a block or any prop underneath your right shoulder if you find that it's a little difficult to come all the way down or uncomfortable to come all the way down. And then for my head, I'm just going to use my other hand in a fist. I'm just resting it here. You can see my fingers. And then let's slowly unwind and over to the other side. So threading opposite arm with my left arm, under and through. Hips are still moving down, and then just coming into a twist that feels comfortable for your body. Using props, feel free to use props at any time. Finding that nice ujjayi breath. Feel the weight of the body just relax down. And then we'll slowly unwind. Let's come into puppy pose. Just get one more stretch for the chest. So make sure you're more towards the back edge of your mat from tabletop. Shoulders draw back. Pointy parts of the elbows start to point back behind you. Keep that squeeze there. You'll feel the squeeze of the muscles of the upper back and the lats. And then walk your hands forward. Hips stay over the knees. So it's up to you how deep of a puppy pose. Maybe you're going to stay really high here and work through the core, the shoulders, the muscles of the upper back. Maybe you're walking even more forward, drawing the shoulders back, pointy parts of the elbows point more down. Lots of energy here. Maybe you want more of a relaxed puppy pose with the elbows down, maybe the forehead down onto a block or a pillow, finding that little lift of the tailbone up. So find what works best for your body, the depth of your puppy pose that works best for you. Take a moment here. It can also depend on the time of day. So if it's still pretty early in your day and you don't feel warmed up, maybe just stay in a little bit higher of a puppy pose. And then let's slowly come on up. Walk the hands back and settle back into your child's pose. So we'll come into inversions 2 more times if you'd like. You can do puppy pose, which is what we just did. You can do a relaxed puppy pose or more energetic, or you can come into downward facing dog. So the next couple minutes will be almost like little freestyle. So you can do any inversion of choice or even skip for as long as you feel comfortable. So if you're working on building your endurance and your inversions, maybe you're staying for 5-10 rounds of breath even, and then taking child's pose. Or if you're newer to the practice, or if you want to take it a little bit more relaxing, then maybe you are doing 3 inversions and taking several child's poses in between. So for downward facing doggers, you'll walk your hands a little bit forward of the shoulders. Same thing, draw the shoulders back, pointy parts of the elbows start to point down. Feel the work of the muscles of the upper back. Curl those toes under, lift the hips, and then press it back. Almost like you're pushing over, trying to push a wall over, but the shoulders are still moving towards those hips. And maybe you're stepping the feet as wide as the mat. Maybe you're twisting the hips. Maybe you're pedaling through the legs. So whatever feels good to you. So because you can see this video at any time of the day. Maybe your body's a little bit more warmed up, or maybe not. So just do what feels good to your body. And at any time, take a child's pose, take a few rounds of breath. I'm going to take a child's pose just to relax. And then we'll just take maybe 30 more seconds or even a minute to do any more inversions that you'd like. And any more child poses that you like. And then as you're ready, taking a few more moments wherever you're at, puppy pose, child's pose, downward facing dog, stillness, finding movement, finding lots of length for the spine. And then when you're ready, let's all slowly make our way to a forward fold at the top of the mat, taking as much time as you need. And when you get to the top of your mat, let's separate those feet, hip bone distance, all 10 toes pointing forward, bend those knees. Let's walk our hands up our body as we engage through the core so we could slowly roll up the spine. So head comes up last. And even if you want to keep the gaze down towards the floor, if that feels comfortable on the neck, so you can stretch out the muscles of the back, of the upper back and the neck, you can do so. Take a moment there. And then let's upright the head. Inhale, arms forward or out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's draw those arms back behind. So either hands onto the hips, thumbs and elbows draw towards each other, or interlace the fingers back behind, or even if you have your belt handy, you can draw the belt back behind you, turn the palms to face forward, separating those hands as far apart as feels good, and then use that to open up through the chest. So just like we were doing from a seated position, neutral position in the spine, so not arching through the spine, neutral position in the spine, and we're opening up the chest. So really getting a good stretch through the chest and the shoulders. And if you have your arms, your fingers interlaced, or you're using a belt, you're lifting the arms to a comfortable point. So we're not lifting the shoulders up, and breathing here. And then let's slowly release, relax, shake it out. If you do not already have your belt in hand, let's go ahead and grab our belt and do a little stretch to open up through the chest. Let's take our belt. You can even have the hand in the loop into one arm. So I'll mirror you. So I'll have it in your left arm, and we'll draw the arm up over the head. So if you do have any shoulder concerns, feel free to modify or just skip. And let's draw the arm up towards the ceiling and then bend at the elbow. And so the strap is dangling down alongside the spine, or right alongside the spine. And then opposite arm extends out, thumb points down. And then let's either hand onto the hip if that's more comfortable, or you can reach for the belt that's dangling. I'll just give you the back view really quickly. And you're reaching the hand as high up as is comfortable. But if you do start to feel this in the shoulders, release the hand down or even skip if you need to. And we're breathing here. Move the shoulders down, neutral position in the spine. So we're not overarching through the spine. So we're finding this openness of the chest. We're not dragging the head forward. The head is pushing back into the arm. And then from here, we'll come into a very gentle side bend. So take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, I'm mirroring you, we'll just do a gentle side bend over to the right. So you might feel a greater stretch on that left arm. You can have a soft bend in the knees and breathing, really big opening for that left arm. And then let's slowly upright. Release your right hand first, and then we'll straighten the left arm up, and then out and down. We'll move over to the other side. Just know that the sides of the body are different, so one side might not be as comfortable as the other. So with the belt in the opposite arm, lift it up, pull the shoulder down, bend at the elbow, and then feel that the head is pushing back into that top arm. Opposite arm out, thumb down, hand onto the hip, or reach back behind, moving to a comfortable height on the strap, just a very gentle pull. Breathing here, opening up through the chest, but not arching through the spine. So engage especially the lower belly, right underneath the navel. Pull it in to make sure the spine stays in neutral, pelvic bowl in neutral. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, very gentle side bend over to your left. Breathing. Move the shoulders down. And then let's slowly upright. We'll release the bottom arm, bottom hand, and then straighten the top arm. My bun is getting in the way. And then out and then down. Whew, it's a really nice opening for the chest. And then let's place the belt back on the floor at the top of the mat. Let's come to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Depth of fold is up to you. Inhale, halfway lift. Draw the heart forward. Press into the hands to get the heart to draw forward. And then exhale, release back down. Stretch out the back of the body. Inhale, let's rise on up. Engage through the belly. Strong, flat back. Arms up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Let's rise all the way up, strong flat back. Bend those knees as much as you need to so you can feel the work of the legs. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more round. Inhale, lift. Exhale, dive. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, release. Pull that belly in. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's come into a supported forward fold. Separate those feet a little bit wider than the hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend those knees. Relax forearms onto the thighs. If it is okay on your body to go lower, you can slide your hands down to the legs, releasing hands either onto the feet or the floor. Just make sure your hands rest on something. And maybe you're bending, maybe you're like me and bending those knees so much that you're just relaxing the upper half of the body onto the thighs. So there's no strain in the lower back. So you don't want to just be kind of free dangling if your chest is away from the legs. You want to just get a nice rest, ease here. And if the wrists still feel a little tight, let's place the backs of the hands onto the tops of the feet with the fingers kind of at the ankles. Still finding that ujjayi breath. But remember, the depth of your forward fold is up to you and your body. Let's slowly roll it on up the spine so you can walk your hands up through the legs. Engage strongly through the belly. And then when you get there, let's draw those arms up. Hands to the heart. Let's find our feet in chair pose. So either feet together or feet hip bone distance apart, your choice. Just make sure you keep those knees the same distance apart as the feet. And then when you're ready, let's come into chair. And then from our chair, we're engaging through the legs, the belly, the muscles of your bottom, neutral position the spine. Get that lift in the chest. Let's shift the weight into our right foot and we'll lift the left ankle the left heel off of the floor. So feel the weight really kind of settle into your right heel. You should even be able to lift your right toe so you feel the work happening in the muscles along the back of the body and your buttock. Little balance work as well. And then place the left heel down over to the other side. So settle the weight into your left heel. You can even lift the left toes to make sure the weight's back there. And then lift the right heel. We're keeping the toes of the right foot down though. Just a little balance work. And then let's slowly release right heel down. Stand up tall. Inhale, arms out and up or forward and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We'll do that one more time with a little bit more if you'd like. Let's come into chair. So right leg will kind of be our standing leg. And then lift the left heel. Maybe come onto the left tippy toes, maybe finding your balance and lifting the left toes completely off the floor, flexing the left foot. At any time, you can place the toes down and then release left foot down. Let's stand up tall first and then over to the other side, chair pose. Make sure you can see all 10 toes first. Weight is in towards the left heel. Let's lift the right heel. Maybe come onto the right tippy toes. Maybe lift the right toes off of the floor, flexing through the foot. Breathing here. Wiggling around. Set the right foot down. Stand up tall. Let's come into warrior one. Right foot stays where it is. Left foot steps back. Take the moments to adjust. Heels are hip bone distance apart. Left toes angle to the top. Outside left corner, bend the right knee, track it and freeze it. And then power through this back leg, back ankle, back foot, and let's lift the arms up. Pull the belly in, neutral position in the spine as best as you can. One more round of breath here. And then slowly release it down, step it forward. Just coming over to the other side. Nothing too fancy yet. And then step the right foot back. Take your time. Find that good position of the pose. Shoulders and hips square towards the top edge of the mat as best as you can. Strong in the back leg, strong in the front leg, pressing into that front heel. And then when you're ready, shoulders over the hips. You can add the arms, or you can leave the arms out, whatever feels good to your body. And just take a few moments here. So still building strength, flexibility, but also bringing that Ujjayi breath back, bringing some calmness back into your pose, into your practice. And then let's slowly release it down, step it forward. Let's turn to face the long edge of our mat and come to the center. And I'll mirror you from here. So let's start to separate those feet, coming into a nice wide leg stance, adjusting the clothes if you need to. And then let's start with the hands onto the hips and just a very gentle shift of the hips side to side, as much as feels comfortable to you. So just getting some openness of the hips. If it doesn't feel so good on the joints, feel free to skip and just stand tall. That in and of itself is a yoga pose that requires strength and some balance work as well. Let's take an inhale, and then as you exhale, soft bend in the knees, come forward. We'll just start with forearms onto the thighs, and then from here, maybe a little shift left and right with those hips. Maybe one leg straightens a little bit as the other one bends. Make sure the knee doesn't go past the toes. It's bending towards the direction of the center of the toes. Let's come back to center, engage to the belly, roll up the spine, taking as much time as you need. And then when you get to the top, let's draw those heels in, come into our temple pose. Feel that the work of the legs are going out and not in. So knees track towards the center of the toes, shoulders over the hips. Notice if the tailbone is lifting up. Pull that lower belly in. So feel the squeeze of the lower belly. That will help to keep the spine in neutral and the pelvic bowl in neutral. Hands can be on the thighs to start. It doesn't have to be too deep of a temple pose. And then from temple, so we're going to transition into warrior two. We'll have your right leg be the starting leg. So let's stand up tall, or have the upper half of the body up tall. So really focusing on the feet. So let's start to draw, I'll mirror you, your right toes to point towards the top edge of the mat. And then from here, we'll lift your left heel and draw it back so that we're just straightening the leg. So my upper half, or my body's not moving up and down. We're trying to keep everything relatively level. So now we're in our warrior two base. Shoulders and chest still point towards me or towards the screen. And then let's open the arms out and pull the shoulders down. And then maybe the gaze is over towards the right. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Still strong in this back leg. Make sure the knee doesn't buckle in. Let's release those arms down, and you just rest the hands onto the thighs. Going to come back into temple pose. So let's first start. We'll lift that back heel up, pivot, and draw it in, and then adjust those front toes. So it's about 45 degrees. Still staying relatively low with the legs bent. And now let's straighten the legs. Whew, it's a lot of work for those legs. Take an inhale. And then exhale back into temple so we can go over to the other side. So now it'll be your left toes. We'll start to turn to the front of the mat. And then we'll lift the back heel, lift it, and start to straighten the leg. And then land it down into your warrior two base. The hips will want to twist to point to the side. Try to keep them pointing towards the screen. And then find your warrior two on this side. Taking a moment here. Remember, stack, track, and freeze that front knee. And then let's slowly release arms down onto the thighs. Let's come back to temple pose. So you can bottom heel lifts to draw in, staying low, bending those knees, and then adjust those front toes. And then straighten up. All 10 toes pointing forward. Hands onto the hips, take an inhale. Exhale, soft bend in the knees. Come into your forward fold. Maybe it's forearms onto the thighs. Maybe you're reaching down for your mat. Or hands onto the legs. And taking a few moments here, remember just mild sensation of a stretch. Move the weight more towards the balls of the feet so we're not too heavy in the heels. If it feels good, you can relax the neck. And then let's have a soft bend in those knees. Engage strongly through the belly. Let's slowly roll on up. Head is the last thing to come up. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Relax those arms down. Let's draw those heels in. Come back into your temple pose. So maybe you're challenging your pose a little bit more, extending the legs further away from each other, or maybe you're drawing it in, whatever feels good. Let's come back into Warrior Two through our temple pose. So your right toes start to turn towards the front. Lift your back heel, your left heel, drop back behind, straighten the leg, open up the chest. Inhale, reverse. And then exhale, let's come to side angle. So through Warrior Two, little shift forward, hand or forearm onto the thigh. Maybe top arm reaches up, or maybe you're just keeping top arm alongside the body. So whatever feels good to your body, take a moment here, looking wherever feels comfortable. And then let's slowly upright. Back to Warrior Two, relax those arms down. Let's come to temple pose. So start to bend through that back leg so you can lift the heel, turn it in, and then adjust those front toes. And then let's straighten the legs. Give our legs a break. Take an inhale. Exhale back into temple. And then we'll move over to the other side. So start to turn your left toes to point towards the top of the mat. The knee also starts to point towards the top of the mat. And then we'll start to lift the back heel, straighten the leg, settle into Warrior Two. Let's reverse our warrior, flip the palm, reach it up. And then let's come into side angle pose. Through Warrior Two, little shift, forearm or hand onto the thigh, top arm wherever feels comfortable for your shoulder. Breathe here. Still strong, powerful through that back leg. Let's come back up. And then one more time into temple pose. Bend through that back knee so you can lift the heel, draw it in, adjust those front toes, and then stand up tall. Whew. Let's draw all 10 toes to point forward. One more wide leg forward fold. Take an inhale. Lift, and then exhale, soft bend in the knees. Melt it into your forward fold. Remember, make sure you feel supported. So hands or forearms are resting on something. And you're getting a nice stretch for your body. You can always have a soft bend in the knees like I do anytime you come into a forward fold. And then bend those knees even more. Let's slow roll it up the spine. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's slowly start to heel toe those feet towards each other and shake it out. All right. Let's come into a standing balance pose. Let's come into our tree pose. I'll still mirror you, so your right leg will be the standing leg. Let's lift the left heel. Maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're opening it up, placing the heel to the inside of the ankle. Maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're going a little bit, sliding that foot a little bit higher. Maybe you're extending the arms out. Lots of options depending on how your body feels for today. But just always make sure you're in a safe place where you won't fall. And anytime you need to place the toes down, feel free to do so. Breathing here. I can tell that my legs are a little tired because there's lots of wiggles going on, and that's fine. That's good. That means they're working hard and building strength. And then let's slowly release it down. Shake it out, right over to the other side. Stand tall. Mountain pose. Find that deep belly ujjayi breath. And then lift the heel. Maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're opening it up. Maybe you're sliding the foot up a little bit higher. Maybe you're adding the arms, or maybe none of the above. But you are breathing, finding that ujjayi breath. Ooh. And then let's slowly release down. Sometimes when I stare into the camera, I get a little hypnotized, like if you're driving on a road that's hypnotized by the lines on the road. Let's come back to the top of the mat, separate those feet a little bit wider than the hips, and then start to bend the knees. Option 1, forward fold. Relax here. Option 2, if you're working on your yogi squat, start to bend those knees, squatting down. And just depending on where you are, especially where your joints are, make sure they're happy. Maybe you're staying here, or maybe you're going a little bit lower. If it is okay and safe on your body, if it feels good for your body to do so, then you can come into your low squat. But find what works best for you. Take a few moments here. Wherever you are is where your body needs to be. And in the manner that is most careful and safe for you to come onto your bottom, go ahead and carefully come onto your bottom, and then make sure your pillow and your belt are handy. And we're going to sit towards the center of the mat, facing towards the long edge of the mat. So from here, let's first come into butterfly pose. Draw the soles of the feet together. Take an inhale. And then exhale, you can fold it forward any amount. So looking for that gentle stretch on the inner legs, gentle stretch on the lower back. And remember, if this position doesn't feel good on the joints, feel free to just come into a seated forward fold with the legs extended forward. Let's slowly upright our spine. And then I'll mirror you. You'll use your left hand to draw the left knee to point up. And then we're going to stretch this left leg out to the side. So maybe about a 45 degrees, and we'll have the left toes pointing up. And then you can draw the sole of your right foot to the inside of the leg. We'll take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, let's turn. So the shoulders and the chest point towards that extended, that straight leg. Take another inhale, and then exhale, fold forward just enough until you feel a mild sensation of a stretch. So we're not looking to the touch of toes. We're not looking for the chest to reach through those thighs, because we are doing a subtle twist. So we just want an easy twist and get some stretch along the back of that leg. Relax the shoulders down. So staying relatively high with the chest. Finding that Ujjayi breath. And then let's start to walk our hands back to upright, and then we'll turn back to face towards the long edge of the mat. Take an inhale, and then exhale, easy twist, but we'll keep the chest upright so head stays over the tailbone, so we're not leaning over. We're just doing just a little counter stretch, counter twist for that from that first one. Make sure your left toes are pointing up towards the ceiling, so flexing through that foot. And then let's slowly come back to center. We'll use your left hand to lift the left leg up. Come through butterfly pose. We won't be folding forward though. Just make sure the feet are right the center of the body. And then let's move over to the other side. Right hand assists to lift the right knee, and then assists to stretch it about 45 degrees to start. And then you can draw the sole of the left foot into a comfortable point. Remember, if this doesn't feel good on the knees, feel free to just keep both legs straight. And even just sitting up tall will get a good stretch to the back of the legs. We'll take an inhale. Exhale, find that twist. Shoulders and chest towards the extended leg. Take another inhale, and then exhale, hinging forward or hinging towards that straight leg until you feel your mild sensation of a stretch. You'll also feel a stretch along this left side of your body. And we're not folding completely forward, so just enough to get an easy stretch along the underneath your right leg, and breathing here. Right toes point up towards the ceiling the whole time. And then let's slowly walk ourselves back up untwist, take an inhale. And then as you exhale, now we'll twist to the other side, keeping the head over the tailbone, noticing if the legs are starting to lift up. See if you can relax them down. It's not a very deep twist. Head is wherever feels good. And then let's slowly come back to center. Let's bend your right knee. You can lift it with your right hand. Just place the heel down. We'll use our left hand to draw that knee up, and then we'll extend it out. So coming to a wide leg forward fold. If you need to, remember at any time, feel free to place a prop underneath your bottom just to make sure that you're getting some proper lift. All 10 toes up towards the ceiling the whole time. You can have a nice bend in those knees. And then let's start to look for your mild sensation of a stretch in the inner legs and the underneath the legs. So one option might be just to work on straightening those legs and sitting up tall. Another option is to hinge forward at the hips until you feel your mild sensation of a stretch. You can even have a soft bend in those knees. So find what works best for your body. Hands are supporting the weight of the upper half of the body. Remember, it's not about how low you can get your chest down towards to the floor. It's just about finding the stretch that works best for your body. And breathing here. Many years ago, when I was a kid, I was able to do the splits, the straddle splits, where you just put the legs out and chest comes down. But that was a long time ago. And after years of having a desk job, this is about as far hinging forward that I can go until I find my mild sensation of a stretch. So it's doing what feels good to your body. Last round of breath here. Let's walk ourselves back to upright. Let's use our hands to rebend those knees, draw those feet together, and then let's turn to face towards the front of the mat. Have your props handy if you want to use them for later. And then let's slowly roll it on down. Oh, all right. And then from here, let's just get a little stretch for the front of the body. Let's come into bridge pose just for a couple rounds of breath. So it doesn't have to be too high. And then we'll slowly roll it on down. And let's come into our thread the needle. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh above the knee. Maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're drawing the leg shape towards you. Maybe you're using your belt underneath your legs for a little bit of support. Or maybe if it's comfortable, you're interlacing the fingers underneath the left leg. Keep that right foot flexed. Or maybe you're even finding an alternate pose if the joints are not happy in this position. Alternate pose can be just to hug that right knee in and keep the left foot down. Breathing here. And then let's slowly release. And we'll switch right over to the other side. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh above the knee. Flex to the left foot. And then draw the leg shape towards you, or just keep the foot down, or come into this other position if it feels better on the joint. You can use the belt or use your hands. Take a few deep rounds of Ujjayi breath here. And then when you feel even on both sides, let's slowly release. Let's separate the feet as wide as the mat and come into just a few dynamic twists. If it feels good to go deep on one side for a few rounds of breath, go ahead and do so. Just make sure you are even on both sides. Maybe you're drawing your arms out into cactus or diamond shape. If that feels like you're getting an added stretch through the chest, keep the shoulder blades firmly planted on your mat. And then when you're ready, let's come back to center. My body knows it's almost Shavasana time. My mind knows too. Let's reach the arms either up to the ceiling or over the head, and then draw those arms back down by the sides. If there's any other poses you'd like to take, go ahead and take them. And then when you're ready, let's find ourselves in our most comfortable pose of Shavasana. You can have the legs extended long with the feet a little bit wider than the hips, or you can have your knees resting against each other like mine are. Let's draw the arms down by the sides, turn the palms to face up. You can close the eyes if that feels good. Let's take one more inhale together. Exhale out the mouth. Feel the back of the neck release, relax. If you do find that the mind is wandering during your Shavasana, you can immerse your mind into the sound of the wind chimes that I will be playing. So enjoy these next few minutes of your Shavasana. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Send some movement into your fingers, into your toes. And when you inhale, you can stretch the arms to a comfortable point. And then when you exhale, draw those arms back down alongside the body. Let's slowly roll onto one side and gently press our way up to a comfortable seat. Head coming up last. Let's stack the hands atop our heart and take a moment to feel gratitude. Feel gratitude to yourself for coming to your practice, or feel gratitude for anything in your life that you hold dear. Let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart. Take a moment to reflect upon that intention or dedication that you set at the beginning of your practice. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. As always, it is a privilege and a joy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day and week, and we will see you next time.